Now we're going to turn the hoverboard activity into a game. So make sure you've got a working hoverboard before you start and that you can actually move it backwards and forwards. And then what we're going to do is add some falling apples that our character has got to catch on the hoverboard. So we're going to go down to choose a sprite and just click that main cat option there. And that lets you choose from the ready-made sprites. And we're just going to use a ready-made apple for this one. So just make sure it's somewhere on the screen like that. And then we need to put some code onto it. Now the first thing I'm going to do is actually make a variable to keep track of our score. So I'm going down to variables and I'm going to click make a variable. Now in the book it will tell you a bit more about what variables do, but for now we're just going to get on with the code. I can't really code this quickly, so I've speeded it up a little bit. Don't forget the book will tell you a lot more about how all this code works. This is a slightly tricky bit. To set the colour here, you've got to click on the colour swatch there, click on the palette tool and then move up, get exactly the right green, and that way you get the colour set in the way you want it there. So let's go back to super fast speed. I'm going to quickly talk you through this code. In the book we explain it in more detail, but basically we start off, set the size to 75%, set the score to 0, so we're always starting with 0. Move the apple to a random place, but we put its Y value to 160, which will keep it at the top of the screen, so it's going to start somewhere along the top of the screen here. We're going to keep repeating until the apple touches that green colour, which is until it hits the ground. And to do that we're going to move it down by -3 each time the program loops. And it's going to check to see if it touches sprite 1. That's our character here. Now if it does touch it, we're going to assume it's not banged him on the head. We're going to assume that the character's caught it. And then we're going to play a sound effect to make the score go up by 1, and then make the apple jump to a new random position. So let's try playing it. So we need to get the mouse down the bottom of the screen to start with. Now while the apples are coming in the middle, it's fairly easy. If they're too far away, it's going to be tricky. I think it's best to just leave them. And that's okay, that game's working all right. Now the final thing we're going to do is add more apples. So I'm going to right click on here and duplicate it a couple of times. And now if we run it, we're getting more apples coming down the screen. We should be able to catch loads of them. Remember not to tip up the hoverboard too far or you're going to fall off. Oop, like that. So have a look at the challenges. If you've got the book, it will show you a few ideas about things you could experiment with, like how far the hoverboard tips over, adding extra sound effects, maybe changing some of these characters on here.